NIO with 5,000 insurance registrations for the week of April 22nd through the 28th. This is a big deal. And not just because it's a strong number, but because the last time we saw NIO come in with a weekly number of 5,000 or better was the end of 2023. And that was the best week NIO ever had, 5,700. So this 5,000 number represented toward the end of April, very positive. Also, NIO is just coming out with the last, I think the full model lineup is about to be available. The ET7, for example, I believe was starting deliveries today, April 30th. So with that in mind, that means some of those numbers weren't even reflected in this 5,000 weekly data point. So very positive. And this may be something that is directly related to it. If we go back in time to the third quarter earnings, I remember William Li kind of acknowledging that a mistake that NIO made was not hiring more sales personnel earlier. And this aligns with what I've got at the bottom of the screen. The first major growth phase for NIO is market awareness, brand awareness. The brand has to be known to be sold, right? Even in China, in their home country. So what he talked about here was how they brought in new sales personnel. Basically, they call them fellows in September and October, but they would need about 6 months to be brought up to speed to where they can make a big difference in the sales force for the company. Well, that aligns perfectly with the time frame now, especially with the refreshes on all the 2024 models for NIO. So wouldn't it be interesting if NIO continues to improve their sales for the premium brand, even as they're coming out with the sub brands? And that's what brings me to this final point. I joked around earlier in the year about shorts, and I was kind of like, are we going to see shorts get squeezed again? And what I was referencing is it looks like, according to this chart, this is a fails to deliver chart. You've got the fails to deliver represented with these white lines. Now, this could be made up fake shares that don't even exist, that big dog institutions use to manipulate stock price. Yes, you heard me right. It can happen. But the white is indicative of how many fails were reported on a certain day. And back in the earlier history of NIO, this is the full NIO stock chart history. You see a lot more of these big spikes with the fails to deliver. And you see, of course, the apparent correlation, the stock price just being beaten down or held down. And then NIO took off on them. And what happened at the same time, those fails to deliver dropped off to maybe what should be normal levels. But then they started picking up again. And here's the interesting thing. This is what I noticed. And this is your teaser for sticking around. This is 5 million. And this was April 1st that this was reported. Now, these are delayed data. So we never get to see this real time. This is one of the reasons I think trading in the stock market is so hard, because we don't ever actually get access to the data. But 5 million, we haven't seen a number that big on the spikes for fails to deliver unless we go back to that 2020 timeframe, which was right before NIO took off. So listen, I'm not calling anything yet, but shorts, are you getting nervous yet? I think you should be.